The internet's most hated man-child.
He just can't leave those college parties alone.
He has beef with Andrew Tate, Andrew Schultz, Sean Strickland, and just about everybody on the internet.
He's stingy.
He's Steiny, and today we are talking about Steiny. We're talking about why does everybody hate him, you know? This is the Kickback Lounge podcast. My name is Drew Young.
I'm Kenny Brown.
And tap in. Today we're talking about the Steen, whatever you want to call him, you know. But why do you think Steiny is probably one of the most hated men on the internet, honestly?
I think he puts a face to what we call a beta.
You think so?
Yeah.
So would you call yourself alpha?
I would consider myself an alpha.
But
that's for you guys to recognize.
Oh, shit. Here we go. That's a different story.
I think Steiny is definitely like the physical archetype of a beta. I mean, he basically presents himself as, if you're fucking a girl, he wants to be in the room. You know, he wants to be the one holding the camera. You know,
shit.
He wants to supply a thumb or a finger every once in a while. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, he might be doing some blow in the background.
Hey, you never know. He is Steiny, bro. And if you guys haven't seen, like I said, he's been beefing with Sean Strickland, Andrew Schultz, Andrew Tate, Bradley Martin.
Is that your dad? Never like to underdress. How you doing, bro? Good to see you. What's up? You again? I like my first here now. You again? Little fucker. Oh, that's fucker.
I have no idea. I don't even know what's going on right now, to be honest. Like, I was
me off. That's what's going on right now.
well, you had to bring up the Steve, bro.
I think that was my fault. He brought up the watch, dude. What the you talking about?
Okay, yo,
That's
we
my fault for
gotta
bringing it up.
literally cut that entire section. I'm serious.
I didn't bring up nothing about
Why?
Steve. I didn't bring up no watches.
Kyle, I'm
That
serious.
was him.
All right, well, we'll see. Let's keep going.
No,
I'm serious, bro. What bothers you the most right now?
Nothing.
Nothing bothers you?
You looking at your phone while we're doing this interview, and everybody's seeming disinterested.
Were you looking at notes or texting girls?
Notes.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Me taking time out of my day to do this, and then feeling
Dude,
like
I've never
I'm forcing you guys to do the podcast.
I've never been more
That
excited to
annoyed
do a
me.
podcast.
Say again.
I've never been more excited. I'm sorry. I had to
Don't
look at my notes.
apologize. You don't
No.
have to apologize. You asked me what annoyed me, and I gave you an honest answer.
Wait, are you being serious about that?
Yeah, that annoyed me.
Really?
Yes.
So if
Is
someone
that surprising to you?
well, if I'm looking at my notes, I have some things personally that I wrote that I wanted to ask you. Not on there.
Okay.
So I can't look at that and then ask you that.
I mean, you can, I guess.
What if someone in the audience is on their phone when you're doing that?
Then they're gonna get the same treatment you got.
But he started out, the internet first got introduced to Steiny when he was Steve Wilduit's assistant, you know. They gave him an opportunity. I think you had mentioned before that his dad was like involved with Full Send, their lawyer, right? Yeah,
Yep.
so that's how he got the opportunity. I mean, hey, you can't really hate on people for getting opportunity, is what it is.
Yeah.
But you know, they used to just troll him. He's kind of like the guy that you make fun of, and everybody. He's like the Nelk punching bag, you know.
We're friends. Yo, what the fuck? No, we're friends, bro. We're friends, bro. Hasbullah. We're friends. I come in peace. Bro, what the hell?
Dude, I
Bro,
got his
chill.
back.
I'm about to get pissed right now.
All right,
Hasbullah, step back. Hasbullah, step back. Hasbullah, step back. Step back.
Watch your hands. Gotta get him, dude. Watch your hands.
Oh, yo, you're getting beat. Dude.
You guys the same size too, so
That's that Dagestani pressure.
And even like when Full Send podcast first started, Steiny was even he was like basically the third wheeler on that show. I don't know if you guys remember, but they actually had a second co-host. He no longer works for the company, but he worked for them for a little bit too. And during that time period, Steiny was, he was basically the third person on that show.
I think he came on after Bob Monnery.
That's his name.
Bob Monnery.
Bob, yep.
Yeah.
And he was the third person on that show, and then he took over being the number 2 to Kyle's number 1.
Well, I know they did Bob, Kyle, and I think Salim, or they like rotated a guest or something like that. And then once Bob left, Steiny came on.
Correct.
And immediately, you know, people are like, why the fuck is Steiny here? I mean, it's just the internet's collective opinion. I have my own thoughts about Steiny. Like, to me, he seems like, I don't know him personally. I never met him, so it's kind of hard to, you know, judge people. I like to judge people based on like me and them actually, but if we're just judging from the internet, I'm gonna say like Steiny seems like the type of dude that like he tries to fit in with the popular crowd.
Yes.
And like obviously they would always roast him for like taking Steve's like jewelry that he would take his cars and like act like he's rich trying to get girls, which, hey, I'm not even hating on that because like it is what it is. But when you try to act like you're that person and you're not, it's like, okay, it's kind of cringe. People aren't really going to like you if you're not authentic. And that's why when had the Schultz episode, I know it was early on in his podcasting career, but Schultz kind of like sniffed it out. And they say Schultz is like, if you ever watch any of his podcasts, he's a comedian, so he's going to kind of psychoanalyze everybody. But they did say he has like a really good eye for that sort of stuff. So he kind of sniffed it out, kind of was like, okay, Steiny, you seem like just a weasel basically, and you didn't prepare, which there's a whole beef there. If you've seen the Andrew Schultz podcast on Full Send, their podcast kind of gets roasted because they don't do as much research yet. They got like a big brand and everything, so they're able to get big guests. But I know recently they've been, roasted on the internet for just not doing their research. But
and kind of just a weird format.
You think so?
I think for the Full Send podcast,
like,
yeah. I mean, it's usually the guest is like the main host of the show almost. Just the way they present questions and things of that nature. And I think right away, I mean, everyone had that first like thought about Steiny. We didn't like him. He was wheezy, weaselly. He just really was like a low energy, like didn't know what he's talking about, but trying to be like Kyle and the boys. And it was just, it didn't mesh. I think he's definitely developed into what we see now today. Full Send podcast is basically like, he is the second hitter on that show. And I think he stepped his game up with questions and just making sure he keeps the conversation flowing, which I do appreciate. I think he's trying to do a little bit of a rebrand, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, he did mention that on the Sean Strickland episode, but Sean Strickland kind of sniffed it too. He's like, Steiny, you seem like fucking weaselly. Like, you don't seem like an authentic person. And it's kind of like, bro, how many bodies you got, bro? Like, why would you be that kind of person?
He's
like
getting ready for a fight. Like,
just be yourself, And I don't know who, like I said, I never met him. I don't know who he truly is. Maybe he really is that guy, but like that type of guy, and at least like my sort of circle, like people aren't gonna fuck with you, bro. And it is what it is. I know like he's trying to change and get better, but I mean he's fucking 29, so how much progress can you really make? When that's like ingrained in your character. I don't know how he grew up or anything, but shit, it's just rough. It's just rough, and like I hope Nelk in the old days when like Jesse was on it, people are always like, oh, I want to see the old Nelk, blah, blah, blah. And then they did have Jesse back on, an old one of the founding members of Nelk. They did have him back on the pod, and he was already starting to roast Steiny because that's like you said, he's just kind of a punchy bag.
He literally said, "Who are you?"
Yeah,
like I think that's not a good start. I think Steiny is starting to get into a lane now. He currently has a new podcast out. I forget the name already. I think it's like Chilling with Steiny or something like that.
One Night with Steiny, I think.
One Night with Steiny, yep.
Which,
and
I will say, it does kind of work with him because, like, within the like structure of a group, of the Nelk group, you're not gonna shine as that punching bag kind of character, and like if you can kind of build that character if you have your own platform. And I know he actually does well when he has Sophia on, Sophia Franklin. Like I think they're a good dynamic, and it's kind of funny. Like his character's funny, but I don't think that's authentically him. So when he tries to bring that character into like real conversations and like deep talks, like how they did with the Schultz episode, it doesn't work. But like when he has his character on like his own platform, I think it kind of works for him. I'm not gonna lie.
I strongly agree with that, and I think that's what made me get out of that mindset that Steiny's just a weasel. But yeah, I mean, he's been getting roasted by the industry, and to see him kind of do a small rebrand to kind of go in a lane is honestly refreshing. And the thing is, with that podcast specifically, he's starting to change too on that show, which is pretty cool. But we're gonna get into some of those beefs. I mean, like the Bradley Martin beef, they just rip him to shreds about his acknowledging the people that put him on. Steiny definitely puts off that vibe of like sleeping on people's couches who are famous, you know what I mean? And like just kind of sitting in the back of the club, smoking the free hookah and shit.
And like, hey, I was with fucking like, Shaq over here,
tagging them in the photos, but you only see their foot and shit. So
I think that's a big issue when people put themselves before the brand. Like I've had conversations with multiple people about that. Like just in general, like if a brand puts you on, or like a company or an organization puts you on, and you try to act like it's you, like you gotta rep the brand. It's about it's kind of goes to like the loyalty thing with like I see it in like sports and everything. Like you'd be like, oh, I'm the greatest athlete, blah blah blah. But say you're playing like a team game like basketball, like your team kind of puts you on. Obviously, you have your individual skills and everything, but if you're working like say you're like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, you know, with the Patriots, if I don't know if you have a Tom without Bill Belichick. I don't know if Bill Belichick's as great without a Tom. You know, like it's the organization, it's the people around you that kind of help you thrive, which there can be stars as individuals, but like in Steiny's context, like Nelk put him on. So it's like you kind of got to like rep. I'm not saying he doesn't rep like Full Send and stuff, but like you didn't get this on your own, you know, and you just have to back the brand.
Yes, 100%. And you see podcasts like Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz. Those are podcasts I consider that don't work with a second fiddle. But what they're trying to build.
Schultz, I mean, he has the Flagrant team, which I think are great, and I really fuck with those guys.
They're pretty good.
But
Have you
like,
seen Flagrant 2?
Schultz could do it from, I mean, yeah, Flagrant 2 is now Flagrant, but Schultz could like do it by himself if he wanted to, but he just puts his boys on. So
he puts his boys on, which is pretty dope. And I think Kyle, like being like the front runner of that show and like putting his boy Steiny on was pretty cool too. Because I think Steiny's career should have been dead a long time ago.
Kyle might be in crisis mode, bro. Honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, he lost his second fiddle. So it's kind of cool to see that like they're trying to put Steiny in that second position. To see how far that goes is kind of like, I guess, up to the fans, you know?
It's one thing when you go from like doing content and stuff to doing podcasting. Like you're not starting as a podcaster, so you can't. I don't know how long their podcast has been around, maybe like 2 years. But you kind of got to be like, okay, they've only been podcasting for this long. They didn't come up from podcasting. Like you can't expect them to like ask the best questions, do this. It takes time to kind of develop that. I mean, we had to go there and we had to like learn podcasting techniques or interview techniques, but that's just something you have to learn.
Yeah, it's something you have to learn. And I think that they're developing it really nicely, especially as that two-person duo on that show. I don't want to ask you this though.
I wouldn't say like necessarily nicely. It's rough.
It's gotten better.
It's rough.
It's gotten better.
Sometimes it just depends on who's the guest,
correct,
and like how much they prepare. Because when you do a podcast and you have a guest and it's like 2-3 hours, I don't think is like 3 hours, but when it's like 2 hours and you can tell they prepare, like it's good. But when you don't prepare, you'll get exposed. So
like the interview with Sean Strickland. You really notice the difference in Steiny and Kyle in that one. I feel like Kyle gets out of the role of asking a lot of questions. He's more so just like that middleman, like I'm here, but like I'm just gonna keep the conversation moving. Steiny is asking direct questions. I mean, Steiny is usually just firing them off.
Sean didn't fuck with that though.
Exactly my point. I was gonna ask you, do you think that celebrities and guests coming on that show and just ripping Steiny to shreds, do you think that shit's getting old?
No, because it's genuine. I think, especially from Sean, it's genuine, and that's how he feels. And he's just saying how he feels. But there's a difference between, like, the way I view an interview is, like, I'm having a true, authentic conversation with somebody. And I think the way Steiny views it, or his style would indicate that he views it is, these are basic questions. What can I ask him? What can I ask him? Like, and I'm not thinking, like, I'm thinking generally, like, what kind of story do I want to tell? What do I want to reveal about this person or learn? What do I actually want to learn about this person? And I think Steiny's just like, okay, this will do good as a question. This will do good as a question. This will do good as a question. And it's like, it's not going to work, man.
It's a very basic form of podcasting. You can definitely tell that it is not like thought, like he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't build the story. It's mostly just like, I'm going to throw this out there and see where you take it. That's a very, very hard podcasting style to do. I don't know, man. I would say he's gotten better at asking the like specific questions. Like you can tell he's like actually going back and doing some research now. But again, like to your point, I do think that his podcasting style just needs to be elevated a lot more, especially for a platform like Full Send.
Yeah.
That's a huge platform, and I think that Kyle is honestly deteriorating his status as a celebrity by bringing Steiny back on every single podcast.
Definitely could be. I'll say this. So, like, you look at Logan Paul, he came from content to doing podcasting, and I think that kind of the issue with Logan Paul is, like, he's a little, like, egotistical and like delusional about his ability and stuff. But that would be the only flaw I see with like that I can think of, like with his like podcasting style. Like tries to make it about himself a little bit, which is kind of how you bridge a gap in a conversation in a way already, is just trying to like see what you can connect to with the person, especially if you're like famous. Be like, oh, I did this. Have you ever done this? But like Logan Paul seems like he actually genuinely cares about guests he has on, and that's why it works for him. You know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. My question to you now is like, how long do you think that will last for Steiny?
For Steiny, it just depends on if he can. I know he's probably reading comments. It depends on how he's going to adjust his style, because the one truth is like you're going to have to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to fold, or are you just going to keep playing the character?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're like 35, is that you still want to do that? You know what I mean? Because like in 5 years he'll be like 35, bro. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be 35. You can't play that character, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the same that goes for Kyle, though. You could argue, too. It's like, these guys are getting
Kyle
older.
can be 35, and look what he's built.
Correct.
Steiny didn't build it.
Correct.
That's the thing.
Correct.
Kyle can tell the story of coming from Canada, building a YouTube channel for, I think he's been doing it like 10 years.
Almost a decade, yeah, for sure.
And building that brand, coming from being a regular person to building connections to like just building a huge empire, honestly. And Steiny can't do that, bro. So what are you gonna be like? What's your body count? Like, would you fuck this girl? Blah blah blah.
I mean, even looking at Kyle can do, like you said, a rebrand. I mean, he can say like, hey, I'm just gonna review wines from now on. You know what I mean? I'm still in the alcohol business. I'm reviewing nice wines that are expensive.
He's not gonna fucking do.
He definitely
He's not gonna lower his brand to do fucking wine reviews.
But you know what I mean, though. Like he can still stay in that lane.
Yeah.
Whereas Steiny is just an asshole.
He can adjust and like be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, man.
You know what Steiny needs to do, bro?
I don't know, man.
You know what Steiny needs to do? And Steiny, I got some advice for you, bro. You know what you need to do? Do stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah, he would
Steiny,
kill it.
do stand-up comedy
and
fail. And once you realize, like, okay, this kind of works, that kind of works, because that seems to be like the style. He wants to be funny.
The gray area, yeah.
He wants to be funny, but you just got to learn that aspect. And if you can be funny, like, and really turn it on, and kind of like how like a Bobby Lee or like or a Andrew Santino, I know they do the podcast together, but like they know, okay, this is working. This will be funny. Rick Glassman does that as well. If Steiny can be humbled by doing stand-up, and that's a big thing that happens with stand-up, bro, he might. That's what I would suggest for him, because you can be 35 and be a stand-up and kind of play that role, but like doing the shit he's doing now, you can't be 35 and doing that, bro.
What I suggest for Steiny, because I believe in that too. I think that he's gonna get some humbleness from that, and he can see what hits and what doesn't.
Because could you imagine Steiny family going up doing stand-up and just like dead, like nobody's fucking with him?
It would kill him. That's why he needs to. That's what's gonna help him. Death. That's what's gonna help him kind of write and start doing that thing. I think the best advice for this kid is to basically, and I call him a kid even though he's older than me, but
he looks younger.
Yeah, I mean, the best advice I can give to the guy is like continue doing his YouTube channel. I think that's helped him kind of grab what he thinks is gonna work, grab his own lane. Because I have watched some of those podcasts and they're pretty decent. I mean, they're not bad, but I mean, he's not talking about anything in them. So
it's a double-edged sword.
Correct. You don't get anything from watching those podcasts. Like it's just literally people like sitting around complaining about how they got tricked into doing a podcast.
I'll say this: I don't think you don't get anything from it. I think it's like entertainment. That's what he provides. And that's because some people provide value, some people provide entertainment, some like news, whatever, and his is entertainment. But I'll say this, like, why I say it's a double-edged sword is because, yes, it's funny, and you're like, it's funny and you're entertaining people, but at the same time, you're building on the Steiny character. You're not building on Steiny as a person.
Correct.
So if you're, like, if he does stand-up, the Steiny character, you can play into that, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Steiny, the more he kind of does his own thing, I think that's what's going to help him be more successful. At the end of the day, I think that the more he continues to just keep doing his own thing and showing people that he does have a personality, because that's what he was lacking on that show, in my opinion, is like, there's no personality. They could fit anybody in his shoes and they can do the exact same thing and probably better.
He has the building blocks to be funny. Like, he has the structure. Think of a building. He has the structure to be funny, but he's just not there. He's just not, like, he's situationally funny because he is the butt of the joke. But, like, if you build on that, you can be great and you can be successful. Like, he has the building blocks, but you just got to build on that, bro.
Got to build.
But, yeah, let us know what you think of Steiny. Let us know, are we fucking wrong? Are we assholes? Is everybody on the internet that doesn't fuck with Steiny, are they assholes? You know? But, yeah, let us know your thoughts. Do you like him? Do you hate him? Comment. We really love to see your comments just to gauge how the audience feels, you know? Like the video. Rate 5 stars if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, wherever. And sub to the boys, bro. Yeah.